welcome back. Of course, fall often means things like pumpkin spice lattes, changing leaves, and really all the things we love here in the Charlotte area. But something else that can have an impact on your falling leaves, whether we're in and out of a drought or other factors like your tree's health. We actually spoke with an expert from Davey Tree earlier this week to kind of give you a better idea on what those early turning of your leaves could mean.
I mean, a couple different things depending on what type of tree you're looking at. A lot of areas they'll have new developments where trees were put in within the last 3 to 5 years. And if you start to see those turning colors prematurely or losing leaves, that can be a sign of stress from lack of water. Could be too much water, but in this area that's typically not the case. Can also be a nutrient deficiency or just improper planting all the way around. So if you see that, there's some steps you can take to kind of remedy that before it becomes too much of an issue.
So Matt Betts said that one of the big things that can impact your trees, especially if you're in a new construction area, is actually a drought that happens sometimes a lot during the late part of the summer, which we actually did see in the month of August. Now, the latest drought situation, this of course comes out every single Thursday. It's the U.S. Drought Monitor, still has drier than normal conditions for much of the eastern Carolinas, but see that little center around York and Chester County? They're under a moderate drought. But remember all that rain, we got from Ian on Friday? This should definitely help remedy the situation a little bit as we get that next update on Thursday. So that got me thinking, if anyone was wondering, why we typically do start to see changing colors, not just in general, but especially this time of year. Well, a lot of it has to do with colder weather. When we start to get a little bit cooler, trees' chlorophyll starts to break down, which allows for other colors and chemicals to kind of emerge, which can change those colors. Now, it kind of depends on the chemical for what you actually see color-wise. But what's actually pretty interesting, though, is that bright colors are more likely when our summer is dry, which we did have this year. So maybe that's a good sign for some of those vibrant reds. But you also need sunny days and cool nights in autumn, which we actually do have for this upcoming week. I know everyone wants to see that 7-day forecast, and I'll have that for you coming up. But what I want you to leave you with today is, if you're trying to venture out maybe today, maybe tomorrow, really this upcoming week, to kind of look at some of these colors, not just here in the Charlotte area, but even over toward Asheville, we're starting to see some of those low leaf colors starting to filter in, really from anywhere near Waynesville all the way up toward the mountains, and even a few of those spots starting to get into the foothills. Now, if you're wondering when our leaves typically change in the Charlotte metro, maybe you don't feel like driving 2.5 to 3 hours up toward the mountains. Typically, we see our peak locally about middle part there of November. But sometimes if the peak comes a little bit earlier, by the end of November, we can see some of those leaves off the trees, or vice versa. If we see a later start, typically it'll last even into the first week of December. We'll be right back.